What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here for another weekly sports card market update. News, pricing, nonsense. We're covering all of it. Let's start off with show vibes, shall we? This weekend was the Nashville show. I had a local show and a small trade night. Nashville, I was not at the Nashville show. Talked to some dealers and some friends of dealers that all said seems like it was a pretty banging show. Cash seemed to be flowing. People were buying. If you were at the show, please feel free to drop your feedback in the comments down below. It sounds like football is starting to heat up a little bit. I know at my local show today, I saw a lot of people asking about football, the usual suspects. And same thing at the trade night that I was at. Shag Sports, nice little local shop here in North Canton, Ohio. They have a trade night that they do about once a month right now. It kind of seems like this is their second one that they've done. I was able to pop in for about an hour, and it seemed like a lot of people were looking for football specifically. It is that time of year. Not super surprising, especially right before the National. People are looking for things to take to the National that will be eye-catching. So football seems to be the tour de force. My local show is fairly busy. It's always hard to tell. This was the one that's set up at the Hartville Flea Market, so it's hard to distinguish flea market traffic versus card show traffic. I made one pickup, got a fun little pickup. We'll talk about it in an upcoming video. I'm actually way behind on a pickups video, so we'll need to do that at some point in time in the next week or so. I got a bunch of random stuff in that I need to kind of go over with you guys and girls. So we'll save that for that. I posted it. If you follow me on, and if you're not following me, you should be. I posted on Instagram and I think on Threads. I am now on Threads for all you hip, trendy people. That's Instagram's answer to Twitter. But if you're not following me on those various platforms, they are all in the description box down below. So yeah, one pickup from the local show. That was a dual auto. I will give that as a teaser if you haven't seen it already on social. But we're just a couple weeks away from the National. I'll keep talking about it. The clock is ticking. I keep getting asked if I have a battle plan for the National yet. The short answer is no. No, I do not. There's just nothing really grabbing me right now. I don't know if I'm just in a weird malaise or what it is, but there is nothing that I'm like, man, I really want to walk in there looking for this. Maybe it'll hit me, maybe it won't. And if it doesn't, it doesn't, so be it. We'll see what happens. But I have some ideas in my mind, but mostly it's kind of like what I ran into today, which was actually the dual auto that I got was a non-sports card. My just current headspace right now, for whatever reason, I am much more in a non-sports card mode. I don't necessarily mean Marvel by that, but like actor autos, like the normal stuff that you see me pick up from here and there. That's just where my mind's at right now. That's just where my heart's at. I don't know. It's where my head's at. Maybe it's just because I'm coming off Comic-Con and I'm kind of in that vibe space. I don't really know, but that's nothing specific that I'm looking for on a hit list. I don't know. We'll see what happens. We will see what happens. But National quickly approaching. A lot of weird vibes going around with trade nights and the National that maybe hotels are going to crack down this year. Some of the people that had rented ballroom space are getting it revoked. I don't have firm details on any of it, so I don't want to like speak out of turn, I guess. But something seems to be happening with trade nights and the National. There is the official trade night on Thursday night. That seems to be locked in and a go. I saw that floating around Instagram. I don't know what the hotel pop-up trade nights will be. Trust me, whatever hotel allows it or whatever space people will find, the word will get out. I have no illusions of that not happening. I am sure the pop-up trade nights will go on. They just might be at different locations or slightly more controlled. I think worst case scenario, you might be confined to the hotel that you were in and the people staying in that hotel. If the hotel's cracked down, it's going to be, because what I saw at the Lowe's towards the end was, let's see a hotel room card. So if you weren't a hotel guest, then you got into a little bit of trouble. So we'll see what happens. It'll be a little interesting side story to kind of keep an eye on. But there's definitely some weird stuff going around trade nights with the National. That would suck if they crack down super hard on them, but I don't think they'll be able to stop the people. Let's get into some newsy stuff. Let's revisit yesterday's video, the Topps Hot Box. Some more information has come out about this, and I just have a few comments to make about it. I feel like I have this is not going to be the video for it, but and I don't even know what it is yet, but I just feel like I have a rant brewing in me, but it hasn't finished baking all the way yet. So I don't know if something triggers it. Maybe that'll be a video this week, but I don't know. There's definitely a rant percolating in me somewhere, and I don't really know the specifics of it all yet, but I can feel it brewing. So I don't know. We'll see. If something sets me off, maybe you guys will get a Spicy Town video out of me this week. So this Topps box, it appears, based off information in the comments and what I've seen after this video, kind of digging around, that these gold mini diamond cards are not on the checklist. These were built, this 50 card numbered subset, whatever you want to call it, was built specifically for this. These golden treasure chest boxes. So this is not taking away hits from a regular box or anything like that. So for everyone that was whining and crying in the comments about hits being taken out of the box and this is a rigged system and screw this and that and I'm never buying Fanatics and just yada, 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 this is not taking away from that. I'll go into a slightly mini rant here because it kind of leads into the next thing that I want to talk about with this situation. A lot of people in the comments, not even necessarily on this video, but on the Twitter thread and in general, were like, of course, another hot box on camera between the breakers and the influencers and the content creators and this, that, and the other. Of course, they're getting the loaded boxes. Here's my question for you. How you're only going to see the boxes broken on camera? The only people that, for the most part, that break boxes on camera are content creators, influencers, and breakers. So when you say, how come we never see an average Joe hit a hot box? I never see your average everyday guy doesn't pull God packs. They never get good hits. How the hell do you know? The average person in the hobby is not recording their box breaks and putting them on the internet for you to watch. So you have no goddamn idea if they hit anything good or not, because all we see is the people that record videos, which are content creators and influencers. That's one and the same, really, and breakers. So of course, all the hot boxes are recorded on camera. Like, duh, those are the people recording their stuff. Average Joe that walks into the hobby shop and buys a box and rips it doesn't record it on camera. And let me tell you what would happen if they posted that. Oh my God. Okay. Average Joe walks in. Let's say this was not a breaker that hit this. Average person off the street hit this in a box. They took this picture and posted it on the Sports Card Nonsense Facebook page. They're one of the biggest sports card Facebook pages out there. 75% of the comments would be like, liar, you're not telling the truth, staged, fake, video, or it didn't happen. No way this happened. You're an idiot. You're a fool. Don't you have anything better to do with your time of your life? That's what would happen if someone didn't have the video recorded on it. So I don't know if this is a chicken and an egg thing or what, but no shit, all the good boxes are going to be broken on camera because those people are recording their box breaks. You can't, it's not possible for you to witness the good box breaks that happen for your average person because they're not freaking recorded. I'm just very sick of it. I don't want to say negativity in the hobby because I don't mean it by like the content that people make or anything like that, but more like the comment sections on some of these Twitter stuff. Like everything is the worst thing in the world or a conspiracy, or I saw a lot of people, they're like, screw Fanatics. This is the dumbest thing ever. I can't believe they would do something like this. This tactic has been around for 30 years. Almost every one of the major companies has done something like this in some shape or form over the years, whether it's a single pack, a whole box, whatever. Back in the Fleer Ultra days, I think it was Fleer Ultra, they used to do this. Magic the Gathering did this at one point in time. I think Pokemon's done this at one point in time. This is nothing new. This is them pulling an old trick out of the box and upping it for today's game. That's all that they're doing. And everyone wants to immediately jump to a conspiracy theory. And I get it. Listen, there's a lot of nonsense going on right now. 100%. I understand. But I don't know. The time and energy, not all of you, but some of you guys and girls put into just yelling at the clouds. I don't, why are you even in cards? Why do you even collect anything? Why do you even buy any of this stuff? Because you hate everything. It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. If you have that much time and energy to rant and rave about literally everything that goes on in the hobby and you're pissed about it and you hate everything, then make a YouTube channel. And actually, if you want to yell at the sky about it, make content, fire up the camera. The cost of entry to make a YouTube video is nothing. Everyone has an iPhone. That's all you really need. You have all this time to tell everyone how they should collect, shouldn't collect, how everything's a scam, tinfoil hat, this sucks, that guy's an idiot. Fire up a microphone. Join the crowd. I don't know. Like I said, that was kind of the mini. I guess we ended up getting the rant in this video. I don't know. I've just been in a really weird space the last week or so. I don't know what it is. Just seeing all this stuff. I don't know. It's just on my nerves for whatever particular reason. And I just kind of needed to get that out there. Next up, the PSA thing. I did a video on this the other day about the on-site grading at the National. I put this in a pinned comment on that video because their pricing came out, and then like 6 hours later, overnight, they updated the website and they did sneak in a very small minor special for the month of July. It is 1980s sports special. You do have to be a Collectors Club member for this. It's 80s. Basically, I think it's any 80s card. It's $15 a card, $199 declared value. I believe it's a 60 or 65 day turnaround time on this one. I didn't check that, but I assume it's the standard bulk turnaround time rate. But they did sneak that one in there. And then one other thing that I mentioned in that video was they are doing reholders at the National. I just didn't have, you have to go into the reholder tab to see the reholder pricing. I forget what the cost on that is. It's like 100 or 150 per card for reholders, which I'm a little disappointed in. I had a couple Manny Ramirez PSA slabs that I wanted to get reholdered, but it's probably not going to happen there. They are not at that value that it's worth it for that. I just don't feel like mailing them in. I had like 4 slabs that I wanted to get reholdered, but I don't want to spend that much to get that done. So I just kind of wanted to update that on the PSA pricing. And a couple people pointed out is some people were frustrated by the PSA pricing. This is actually cheaper than what it is last year. There was actually a pretty significant discount on this year's pricing. So next up, let's revisit this one too. Maybe this is what got me fired up for a rant. The profit and loss, we did it on PSA. Boy, the comment section on that one. I am glad to see that everyone that watches, and once again, not everyone, but a decent portion of my comment section must track every penny and how it assigns back to every single card in every pack that they've ever ripped their entire life for assigning a cost basis to it. Listen, I get that the video was not perfect, and apparently you wanted to see the cost on each individual card. Here's the thing. It's not quite that simple. My stuff works a little bit different because if I record a box break video, I can use the cost of the box as an expense for that video. So the cost basis of that box I use towards the content, not the cards. Because people were concerned. They're like, oh, this is going to screw up your taxes at the end of the year. You're going to pay too much in taxes. Trust me, I got that stuff covered. The point of the video was, did it make sense to grade these cards or not? Because the general tenor is that it did not make sense to grade those cards. I already had the cards. The cards weren't going anywhere. The only thing I guess I could have did differently in hindsight, if I was to re-record that video, would be to include what the cards sold for raw. Someone in the comments mentioned that. It was actually a pretty good idea. That might be something, maybe if I do something like that again. I honestly don't know if I'll ever do another video like that again. I really don't. It wasn't worth the headache. So we'll see. But that's kind of where, circling back to that one, where my headspace was with the reason why and kind of how I laid it out the way that I did. The point is do these cards make sense to grade, regardless of what the cost basis is on the cards? I own the cards. My choices are at that point to either sell them raw or grade them. I chose to grade them The point of the video was to show whether or not it made sense to grade those types of cards or not. And clearly, in some cases it did, and in some cases it did not. So just kind of wanted to circle back and touch on that because the comment section was spicy on that video, to say the least. Let's just get into some charts and graphs. Mark Rivers link in the description down below. I'm sure someone will yell at me about Jeff Wilson and PPP loans. Let's start with basketball. Victor Wembanyama, the future of the NBA, had his NBA Summer League debut on Friday night. It was meh. He had a couple actually looked pretty good passing the ball. I was surprised by his passing skills, to be quite honest with you. I think he shot like 1 for 7 or something. Kind of looked like a lost little puppy out there. I'm not surprised by that at all. I wouldn't have been surprised if he went out there and tore it up either. But of course, people are taking their victory laps one way or the other. His card prices, it's still too soon to see if it affected anything yet or not. To me, his probably best normal card out there is the Bowman University, the SSP or SP or whatever it is. I don't know how rare they are. This is from eBay this is from June 1st. Raw, 120 of them have sold. So I guess it's probably rare-ish enough. 120 in 5 weeks is not a ton, given how much of this product's been ripped. PSA 10s, there's only 5 on the pop report right now. That's going for 2.8K, the last one. I could tell you right now, there's one running on auction that is going for way more than that. It is north of $3,000, I believe. If I think about it, I'll link back to it in a community post in today's video or something, because I was curious to see if there was any on the open market, because I knew the pop count was probably low on them since it is kind of a newer release product, and I don't know how the quality control was on that stuff. I have 4 boxes of Bowman Chrome U. I think 4 boxes, 3 boxes, 3 boxes. I ordered 5 altogether. Actually ripped 2 just for the hell of it. I ripped them on camera, and just to be quite honest with you, it was a really boring video. I don't know many of the players, so it was just basically me looking at these cards going, okay, I don't know who this person is. It's not Victor. It's not Caitlin Clark. It's not Scoot Henderson. Next. So I just decided not to upload it. It would have been the boringest watch ever. So hobby box prices, they came out at like 170-ish on Topps' website. That's what I bought them at, 160, 170. They actually came down a little bit into the 150s, and then as things have kind of ramped up to his debut, you can see at the tail end of this chart, here this is where they kind of bottomed out at 159 and 150. They have steadily ticked up the last couple days. We have 160 there, 170 there, 170 again, 175, 175, and now up to 185. I think they're available for around 170, 180 still, kind of depending on the individual day and time and shipping and all that stuff. But we still don't know if, and I'm not even looking at his autos, we still don't know if he's going to be Panini or Fanatics exclusive or not. I think most of us are willing to bet that he is going to be Fanatics exclusive. I mean, we know he has a Fanatics autograph deal. We just don't know if it's exclusive yet or not officially. Like I said, I think unofficially, most of the hobby kind of leans that he's probably not going to have NBA autos. But that has not been 100% established yet, like for sure. Neither company has made an announcement, but it sure seems like it's heading that direction. If that's the case, we will see what these box prices do. That was my whole bet on buying these, is that his first Bowman auto will be his best auto if he does not have one. Or I shouldn't say his best, but his most popular auto if he does not end up signing autos in Panini product. Now, he'll have cards in Panini product, just not autographs in Panini product. But keep in mind, his autos in Bowman Chrome University are redemptions. So if you are going to buy wax and you are going to sit on it for a little bit, careful. I double checked the expiration date on those redemptions. So, but after that game, everyone's basically like, he sucks, he's terrible, he's the worst thing ever. Based off of what I've understood, listening to a lot of NBA podcasts like I do, it seems like he has really good games, then he's going to have some stud or some duds mixed in there as well. It's just kind of a nature of the beast with him. He looks a little ungangly. Yes, he's 7'5". That's going to happen. But we'll see what happens as time moves on. This was a summer league game. I'm not putting a lot of stock into it. I believe he plays later today against Scoot Henderson again. Though Scoot had a shoulder injury. I don't know if he's playing today or not, but I'll probably tune into that and watch. I watched Friday night's game. So I just hope he's at least good. I don't need him to be the next coming of LeBron or Jordan or Kobe or whatever. Just be at least good. That's all that I ask for. From a hobby perspective, from an NBA perspective, it would be good. The NBA market could use the boost both in the card world and just the general NBA. It would add a lot of extra juice to the regular season. So we'll see what happens with Victor stuff as we kind of move throughout the NBA Summer League as free agency kind of wraps up here. Let's hop over and look at football real quick. An interesting sale. I actually missed this one. I didn't realize this happened. This happened about 2 weeks ago. A Josh Allen Silver Prism PSA 10 sold. And if you've ever heard me talk, I've mentioned this a million times on the channel. 2018 Silver Football, they are ghosts. They do not exist. The pop on this card is 26. They rarely sell on a PSA 10. PSA 9, the pop is about 81. You can see I ran these charts back to February 2021. So over 2 years, 17 of the PSA 10s have changed hands. 38 of the PSA 9s have changed hands. So it's kind of a noteworthy thing when one of these things does move, and a PSA 10 did recently move for 6.6K. This is the lowest that card has sold for in 2 years. So you have to go all the way back to 2021 when it went for 7.5K. That's the lowest it has sold for since that point. So the PSA 10 is actually down 10% over that time frame, which, considering how turbulent the market's been over that time frame, it's actually held up pretty well. The PSA 9 is actually up slightly, but to be fair to the PSA 9, one has not sold in 2 months. Actually, 3 months. One is not sold for. So we don't know what the next sale of that would look like. But 2018 Silver Prisms, Allen, Lamar, whoever, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, they just do not exist. I think silvers back then in 2018, and someone could correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, I believe silvers were 1 per hobby box for the entire checklist. So it was tough to pull a silver back in the day. Still pretty tough now, but not as tough as 2018. 2018 is a asterisk when it comes to looking at Prism silvers for the football market. Patrick Mahomes, I was just curious because we looked at the Josh Allen kind of at a macro level over the last 90 days. So since April, since basically right after the football free agency period, his PSA 10 Silver Prism has stayed exactly flat. 0% change. It was 3.6K back in April. It is 3.6K today. You can kind of see it's bounced around a little bit. You know, it filters up to, what do we got there? 4.1. Then it went back down to 3.7, went back up to 4.6. That kind of seems like a little bit of an outlier. Back down to 4K, and then back down to 3.6. Always be wary of this card. It is one in the past. I haven't looked for a while, to be fair, and I didn't deep dive this one. This was, for a long time, one of the most chilled cards out there every time it went to auction. There is a dedicated force that will not let this card drop below 3.5K. So if you're going to the National or something like that, keep that in the back of your head. That's just a good thing to kind of keep in the back of your head anyway. If you're looking for bigger cards, especially coming up on the National, do a lot of pre-homework on stuff like this. Like if you walked into the National and you're like, I want to buy a 2017 Mahomes Silver Prism, really deep dive the comps on that. Make sure that, especially right before the National, I'm not saying people do shady stuff where they might increase the comps the week before a big show just to up their sticker price on the show floor. That 100% happens. So if a bunch of auctions end high right before the National on a particular card, do a little bit of a deep dive on that bid history and make sure everything checks out and look good to file it away. It may end up being a card that you just have to skip and say better luck next year, or wait for it to come to auction if people don't want to move off those comps. So always file that away, especially if you're looking at a card that doesn't sell quite as frequently or has a little bit of a higher price point to it. Baseball. Ohtani mania continues to sweep the nation. He had a little bit of an injury scare this past week, but pretty much turned out to be, I think it's just a little finger issue. I believe he's already back to DHing. I don't know if he's back on the pitching mound yet. Kind of wanted to take a long look at his stuff as well. I kind of like these macro level looks like we've been doing the last couple weeks on various cards and players. I went back to April 1st, 2021 and pulled up a lot of his key card, or just 2 of his key cards. His gold out of 2018, PSA 10, PSA 9, and just his base refractor, PSA 10, PSA 9. What I was curious about was, because obviously the golds numbered to, 2018 to the year of the release. That's how Topps does it for the golds. I was curious how something like that, a numbered higher end card, not super rare, but I think the golds are, a nice kind of lower pop thing to look at because they are numbered, even though it's a larger print run going to 2018. I was curious how that aged over time in regards to percentage up, down, all around versus his just kind of base level refractors like the baseline card. So the PSA 10 gold is up 274% from May 1st. Back in May, it was $670. It is now $2.5K. There was one that recently sold. That's kind of what prompted all this. You could see his golds going to the moon here the last couple of weeks. Massive increase for that card. The PSA 10 refractor only up 150%. So I thought that was just kind of interesting. 350 up to 900. On the PSA 9 side, I always think it's interesting to kind of compare this as well. The PSA 10 is up 274%. The PSA 9 is only up 200%. So the PSA 9 lagging behind a little bit. We always used to see this back in the day when the market was hot. The PSA 10 would lead the charge, and then the PSA 9 would kind of drag and lag behind it a little bit. We see the same thing on the base refractor. Base refractor is up 152% over that time period. PSA 9 base refractor is up 120% over that time period. So if you bought and held Ohtani, you were feeling just dandy about life. Finally, last but not least, little Corbin Carroll, Elly De La Cruz, the two hottest players in the league. Luckily, got real lucky. Looked like Corbin Carroll suffered a serious injury the other night, but it appears he dodged a bullet. I believe he's already back in the lineup, but that looked bad when it happened. And then Elly, I'm recording this late on Saturday. Usually I record early on Saturdays. I saw he had a wild game today. I think he stole 3 bases in an inning or something like that. So I kind of did a little bit of a zoom out. This is going back to April on Elly's first Bowman Chrome auto and Corbin Carroll's first Bowman Chrome auto. They're up. They almost, very similar paths between those two. Elly's the light blue line on the top. Corbin's the darker blue line on the bottom. Elly is up 123% since April. Corbin Carroll's up 135% since April. You can kind of see they've kind of switched spots here for a hot minute. It will be interesting to kind of see where Elly goes from here. He kind of does this. We see out here. This was his debut. It went up. It kind of slowed back down again. You can see it start to dip back down again. He hit for the cycle. It went back up again. Dipped back down again. And then he had, I don't think this is from the other day. So then it shot back up again to 1.4K. So it's really kind of bouncing around. He keeps doing crazy stuff that keeps bouncing the card price back up again. We'll see if he can sustain throughout this. So his debut number was 1.25K. This is where I made the buy, sell, hold video and said, hey, if you have a bunch of Elly, it wouldn't be a bad idea to move off some of it. Since then, there's been a couple sales higher, but really only the one. And now we'll see where things go from there. But if he keeps doing wild stuff on the field, then his prices are going to keep kind of heart rating like this, basically. It's going to spike up because he does something crazy again. Then it'll probably slowly dip back down again if he has a cold week. And then if he goes and steals home again, it's going to spike back up to the moon. And like I said, we had a little Corbin Carroll scare there with his injury. So we're at the All-Star break now, home run derby and all that jazz this week. Like it or not, home run derby is probably going to move the market. Whoever wins home run derby typically gets a little bit spike in prices, especially if it's one of the iconic derbies. I saw the lineup, but I have not dug into it. So if you want to take a little bit of a sports gambling side of things and, go on the ComC or something like that and pick up a couple stuff to quick flip it, I think there's 100% a play there, but obviously you just got to guess right. I do think there'll be some movement on whoever ends up winning. I think I saw like Adonis Garcia's in there. He's probably my sleeper pick. I've always really liked that guy. You always get him in fantasy drafts way cheaper than what he probably should go for. That guy just crushes the baseball. But I don't remember who else is all in it. So don't take that as any actual advice from me. I own none of any of those guys' cards. So that is all I have for you boys and girls today. We will catch you on the next one. Peace.